Hi friends, welcome to this week's episode of Ninja Mom Says. I want to talk a little bit this week about tips for frugal moms, dads, families, or anybody in general, just tips on frugal living. When my husband started his commercial cleaning business a little over a year ago, we had to make a lot of decisions and cut a lot of costs so we could reside off of my income while he was busy building up his business. And now we're sort of, we're at that point where he's starting to even off and, life is a little bit easier. But especially, with a baby on the way, we had to make a lot of decisions. That sweetheart, she's hanging out with Mama today. Especially, with baby and with a new mortgage and with a lot of things going on, we had to make a lot of decisions to cut costs. So I just wanted to share a couple of tips in the event that it might help you out, and in case you got a lot of financial goals and you want to achieve them in a short amount of time. So the first thing that I would say is that many people, I think, are disconnected from what they actually spend per month, because companies make it really easy for you to pay via direct deposit. It automatically gets taken out of your bank account every month. It's all online. We have paperless statements now. We have all, since it's all online, yes, we have access at our fingertips, especially if you have a smartphone or if you have an app for your bank, TD or whatever. But because there's there's not as much writing out a physical check or looking at a physical bill, I think that the people are at a disconnect with what they're actually spending per month. So what I would say is track your spending for an entire month. Not just writing out, okay, here's what my normal bills are. No, I spent $2 at the gas station the other day on a iced tea. I spent this at this place. I spent every little thing. Write it all out to see what you're doing. This will get you a little bit more in touch with what you're actually spending per month and what you can allot differently towards other things. If you are a tech savvy person, if you do like to handle your finances that way, there are a lot of really good budgeting apps out there. You Need a Budget is a really popular one, but I think it's not free. So I think there's one, there's an iPhone app. There's a bunch of apps out there for budgeting. I mean, there's one called Daily Budget. There's all sorts of stuff out there. And I'm more of a pen and paper kind of person when it comes to my budget, but I'm going to share some tips about that in a minute. But there are a lot of options to manage, how you're tracking your spending, and you just have to find a system that works for you. For those of you who are not necessarily as tech savvy, or somebody who likes to manage their bills, in a concrete pen and paper sort of way, this is what I do. I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I have a couple of slots on the left and the right side of my desk. If it needs to get addressed, if it's a bill or something, it's on the left slot of my desk. Once it's done, it's on the right slot of my desk. So I know which ones I have paid and which ones I haven't paid. My husband, when he was telling me before he met me, when he was single and he was managing his bills, he did everything with paper. And whenever the bills came in, he had paper bills he didn't opt for the paperless. He had paper bills come to the house, and they always send you a return envelope. And so what he did was he had a basket for all these envelopes. He took all of those return envelopes, and whenever he had extra cash, he put the cash in the envelopes until he had raised up enough money for that particular bill. And then he went to the next envelope. Okay, filled it with cash every time he had cash, that sort of thing. And so he had a designated envelope for each bill. And then when they were all done at the end of the month, then he'd take all that cash deposit, write all the checks, send out all the bills, and then he'd be all done. So there are a ton of ways to get it done, just figuring out what works best for you. So there's that. Get in touch with what you're actually spending instead of relying on online banking, because a lot of things can fall through the cracks, especially if you write a check out and people don't cash it until 3 weeks later, and then suddenly your bank account is negligent and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because and also debit card transactions don't mean that it automatically goes through. It means that it's automatically authorized to go through, but sometimes, and especially gas stations, they're sneaky. They don't take out the money until weeks later. See? Bella knows. So it's something to think about. Another thing is to make it yourself. Make it yourself. Going out to dinner, making your own dinner. Someone's fussy. Someone's a fussy fuss. Going to get coffee. Making your own coffee. That sort of thing. You know, get a little French press and get some ground coffee. Make it yourself. Nothing wrong with that. It's more delicious than a lot of the coffee shops out there, I gotta tell you. For pets, don't buy all that expensive pet crap at Petco. You can probably make it yourself. My cat hates all sorts of pet toys from the pet store, but he loves cardboard boxes. I made him his own pet bed out of like a TJ Maxx little basket, and I put a blanket in there. Let me get this fussy lady. What's with this fussy lady? Why are you fussy? Do you want to hang out with Mama? Do you want to hang out with Mama? Oh, we have a guest appearance on tonight's episode. This little teething mess, this Bella Bubs. Say hi. Say hi. Everybody's watching you. Well, she'll be my guest star on tonight's episode, okay? So, we were talking about make it yourself. I make my cat toys and his cat bed easy. There are definitely some pieces of baby gear, you know, and child gear that you're going to want to buy from the store. But there are also several things that you can make yourself. Like, for example, like an infant little play area. You just put, you know, a couple of thick comforters folded over on the ground, and then, like, you know, you can build those little arches with the things to go over them, that sort of thing. You know, there are a lot of things that you can make yourself for a lot cheaper. So tracking your spending in that way can help. Yes, I know you want to play with all the things on my desk. I know it. I know it. Buy it in bulk. Buy it in bulk. Now, this was tough because we are a small family. We're a family of 3, and we were only a family of 2 before this beautiful one came along. So this is a tough one, but there are ways around it. So when I say buy it in bulk, you can go at it a lot of ways. There are a lot of options to save when you buy things in bulk via Amazon Prime, which gets you free 2-day shipping. After the first month, it's $100 a year, so it's not necessarily the cheapest. It's only $50 a year with a student ID, with an active student ID though, so that's cool. But that's a thing. There's BJ's or Costco, around here anyway, around Connecticut. So BJ's and Costco, you know, they are bulk, like sort of like Sam's Club type places where if you buy it in bulk, then you'll save a bunch of money. Do you see? I think she pooped. I think I smell poop. So what you can do though is, like what I do is when I buy things in bulk, let's say I'm buying, you know, like beef patties or something in bulk from BJ's. What I do is I pre-separate them. So instead of leaving it in the humongous package and then throwing it all in the freezer and then waiting a million years to defrost and then not using enough because it's too much meat for one meal for the family, well, I just pre-separate them. So like the other day I bought like 6 lamb patties, and we would never eat 6 lamb patties at a time. It's just 2 adults and a baby in the house. So I separated out into groupings of 2, so I could just pull out the 2 that I needed when I wanted to cook for dinner. And if you have the space for a deep freezer, just get one. There are a lot of them that are super cheap, that you can find at, you know, Lowe's, Home Depot, or, you know, home appliance store like that. Or even just have like a little separate like mini freezer, you know, just to keep extra stuff in. I love to freeze things all the time. I really like to buy frozen veggies. Oftentimes they're sourced really well. They're good quality vegetables. They're just in frozen bags. They're a lot better than canned vegetables because their veggie integrity has not been spoiled by, like, you know, green beans sitting in a vat of water. You are just trying to sabotage my video, my little woman. You need a toy. Here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. You want to play with the teething necklace? Here, play with the teething necklace. So buy it in bulk and freeze it and portion it out so you can use it. You're going to save yourself a lot of money that way. Oh, shush. You're okay. Honey bunny. You all right? You're okay. You're okay, my love. Save first. You just have to be strict with yourself. If you want to go, you know, go out and spend money on things, tell yourself, nope, I'm going to put $50 away each month, or whatever the money, whatever the amount is that works for you first, before I make any pleasure purchases. And, you know, and then ask yourself, what are you saving for? You know, if you have a why in your mind, a strict why about why you're saving, it's going to be easy for you to do so. Am I saving for a college fund? Am I saving for a new car? Am I saving for an emergency fund in case anything happens to a house? Am I saving for a home renovation that I want to do? Am I saving to pay off debt? So, just ask yourself, what's your why? And even if your why is, I want to save so I have a little bit of extra pleasure spending money a month, that's wonderful. Good for you. That is your why. As long as you have a why that works for you in your head, it's going to help you prioritize your budget. Elizabeth Warren wrote the book All Your Worth, and she talked about the 50-20-30 rule, whereas 50% of your income goes towards necessities, 20% goes towards savings, and 30% goes to lifestyle choices like your pleasure spending, you do what you want. And I think that that's a really good rule, 50, 20, 30. 50 to necessities, 20 to savings, and 30 to spending. I think it's really hard to save 20%. Like, if you think about it, that's a pretty hard number to save 20% of your income every month. But do the math and figure out if it's actually practical for you to do so. If you're at a point where, it's like 80% necessities, 10% savings, 10% pleasure because you're just trying to make ends meet, like, it happens, It is what it is, and if you have a lot of debt, it can be really discouraging. But to figure out the percentage of what you're spending on things, I think can be really, really eye-opening. So check it out and see if, that could be helpful for you. Also, what I really like to think about is what is an investment versus what is a pleasure purchase. So for example, I got my desk at an antique store where our good buddies work down the road, like a little over a month ago, and I'm totally in love with it. And it wasn't a pleasure purchase. This desk is an investment. This desk is going to last way longer than I do. It's built like a tank. It's an investment because I've already put countless hours in it towards working my businesses. It can be a hand-me-down piece of furniture for my daughter. It's an investment versus a pleasure purchase where I'm like, well, I want to, I want some new workout swag or whatever, the case may be. So investment versus pleasure purchase, that can open your eyes as well. Do I really need this, or do I just sort of want it, or do I want it, but is it going to last me? That sort of thing. So that was eye-opening for me too, to think about investment versus pleasure purchase. This one's a little squirmy squirm. Couple more things and then I'll let you go. Don't be afraid of Goodwill, Savers. There's a website called ThreadUp, consignment shops, hand-me-downs, secondhand things. I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not going to buy secondhand underwear, let's be serious. But there are plenty of options where you can get like beautiful, lightly worn, if worn at all, clothing, really, really legitimate furniture. I feel like half of our furniture is nice. It's old, it's wood, it's built to last, it's fabulous. And we got like half of our furniture at Goodwill and like random antique shop finds. So, you can find a lot of really good stuff out there if you really, do some digging, and sleuthing. So that's one thing. And one more bit of advice is when I'm thinking about my financial goals, I always think about what goal can be a catalyst that will then help other goals happen. So for example, let's say I'm trying to pay off my credit card, right? Well, let's say I pay $150 a month towards my credit cards, but I also need to get a new car for my family. So let's say I have my mind on a specific car, and that car is going to be like a $200 a month payment, let's say. I'm just making these numbers up arbitrarily. So if I pay off my credit cards first, that will save me $150 a month. That $150 a month now can be allotted towards getting that new car, so I'll only have to be spending $50 extra out of my pocket. So that really helps me prioritize where I should be putting my monies, because if you get a new car first, but then you're spending the $200 for your new car on top of the $150 you're using to pay off your credit cards, suddenly you're out $350 a month. But if you pay off your cards first, then that money is already there. You're already used to spending that amount of money, and then that money is going to go towards the car, then you're only spending an extra $50. So using those sort of, okay, well, this thing can be a catalyst so that I'll have more money for other things, that's really, really helpful for me in determining my priorities. Thanks, guys. Frugal tips. Have a good one.